Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's Whitney with That Whitney Life. I like to do easy DIYs that are also easy on your pocketbook. So in this video, I have some ways to just really revamp some things that you have in your home, whether it's outdated, doesn't fit your style anymore. Sometimes just a coat of paint can really make a difference, and maybe some different flowers or something like that. So I just have a few that I wanted to show you that I did in my home. I had some things that were a little bit outdated, not so much my style anymore. Without further ado, let's jump into it. The first two DIYs are actually going to go together, but it is two separate ones. I'm using this candlestick that I got at Goodwill. I think it was around $5. And I'm just going to give it a clean. It was a little dusty, just with a dry towel, no big deal. And then I'm going to give it 2 coats of chalk paint in linen white. It's the Rust-Oleum brand, of course. And I'm just making sure to get in all those little nooks and crannies. There were some detailing on this, and I did love like the detailing on it and the color, but it was a little bit dark for my house, for my taste now. I wanted to lighten it up a bit. So just make sure you're giving it 2 really good coats. One thing I will mention about painting wood pieces with a light colored paint is this definitely had a finish on it. So sometimes when it dries, it will have a yellow tint to it. Sometimes it's worse than others. This one did have a bit of a yellow tint to it, but it wasn't so prominent that it was just like, oh my gosh, it just looks orange. Sometimes it'll look a little orange. So it wasn't too bad. I wasn't too upset about it because it made it look a little bit more old. So now I'm going to wet distress. This is my favorite way to distress, especially wood pieces. I suggest doing this right before, like right as it's dry. It's easier for the paint to pull off. So I'm just using a damp cloth and just rubbing it in the spots that I want it to be distressed. I wanted like the natural, where it would naturally be distressed if you would think of like an older rustic piece. And this is just the easiest way. I do wet the towel a couple times throughout doing this, but like I said, you'll have a much easier time doing it if you do it when the paint is just dry. So I never let it cure if I'm going to do it this way. So this is how it looks to start, and then I'm going to do the rest of it. Just going to speed it up because I think you get it. But I'm going around all the natural areas of it and rubbing off some in between just to give it a really nice distressed look. I love doing it this way. It's so easy and quick and much better than sanding. It doesn't make those scratch marks in it. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to take this, I think it was the middle ring of a small wreath form at the Dollar Tree. And I just gathered as much greenery as I could. And I bent the stem and just glued it on to this little wire circle, I guess. Made sure that I overlapped them so you couldn't really see the stem. And I just did that all the way around. It took, I don't know how many picks this was because this is just little pieces that I found. But I'm going to go ahead and say it was about two picks, and this I got at Joann's. I really love their greenery. I know you can get it at like really good greenery at like Walmart and stuff, but I don't really have a Walmart that is close by, so Joann's has the best one around here. So went around the whole thing making sure I glued really well. And what you can do, and I didn't think about this until I was in too deep, is you could actually wrap this little wire ring with like some jute twine or something, and it might make it easier to stick because you're trying to glue to metal. So probably make it a little bit easier. Now I'm just taking some roses and I'm going to glue them wherever I feel like I want them. I did have I had like an off-white and a stark white, which I wanted like all off-white, but I just didn't have enough. So went around and glued it. I did leave a gap in the front, which originally I wanted that there, but then I did cover it up with some daisies. So I'm taking some daisies and using them as a filler. These are just really cute, sweet little flowers. Excuse the dogs in the background if you can hear them. They are outside barking at everything. And here's how it turned out. I just slipped it over the candlestick, and I think it's so pretty. And you can move it around if you want. I love them. Now this next one is just this little tin I've had for quite a while. I wanted to revamp it just because it was kind of plain. These are really nice to paint, and then you just kind of sand off like where it has the lettering, but I had it as is, and I just decided that it wasn't really suited for my decor anymore. So I'm taking some cotton nautical rope, and I'm just going to wrap it around about 2/3 of the way up. I wanted it two-toned. I really love the look of like this kind of off-white cotton nautical rope along with the other nautical rope that Dollar Tree has. I just really like the texture differences and the two-tone, and I think it looks really nice. So this took about 3.5 bundles. When I get to the end, I'm trying to make sure that all of the seams are on one side, and I'm going to glue the two ends together when I hit the end of one nautical rope the best I can, just so it looks seamless. You do see a little bit, but it's not super bad. Like I said, I tried to keep it all in the back so you wouldn't see it. Now I'm taking the other nautical rope and I'm just going to finish it off with that. This is a skinnier rope. I was a little bit worried about how it was going to look with the two different sizes, but I don't think it turned out bad at all. I actually really, really like how this turned out a lot. So I only needed about half of the second regular nautical rope, went around all the way to the top and including the top of the rim. I wanted to cover that up as well, just so you couldn't see any tin through it. When I got to the end, I just curled it on the inside. I don't know if this is necessary, if it made it look any better, but yeah, it is what it is. Then I'm taking a piece of nautical rope and I'm going to cut a long piece and then I'm going to cut that in half so I have two equal sizes. We're going to make some little handles on this. Again, I don't know if this is really necessary because you can't really see them with the greenery that I put in, but, you know, the thought was there. So I'm just gluing them on the inside, and then I wanted the handles to sit back a little bit, so I put just a little dab of hot glue and just kind of held it in place where I wanted it. That was it for the tin, and that's how it looks like all wrapped. And then I'm going to take these leaves from the Dollar Tree. I had a bunch of these. I just gathered up everything that I had, placed them in there. I didn't have floral foam for this, so I just kind of had to manipulate them so they would stay, clip down the stems, whatnot. I did have some issues with it moving around, but in the end, I think it's so pretty. It's so cute, very boho. And here's how it looks sitting out. I really enjoy this piece. Now this next one is probably the easiest way to vamp your space up. I got this beautiful lace from Joann's. And it was a little bit, lace is kind of pricey, but I found a 40% off coupon for a regular price item. And so I got this about $5 a yard. It's about $10 for this project. And I'm going to make some no-sew curtains. So I'm going to fold this, I don't know, call that hamburger. Hot dog, hamburger. We'll go hamburger. And I'm going to cut it in half. You can do either way. It doesn't matter. But my window, this was the best way it was going to fit my window. So I actually measured it. I didn't like measure tape or anything. I just put it up against my window and figured where I wanted to cut it. So I'm going to cut it in half. So I have two pieces now. And then I'm going to lay one of the pieces flat. Make sure it's completely flat and then fold over the top. It doesn't really matter how far you fold it. Just make sure a rod can fit into it. So I did about 2 inches. I'm just putting a dab of hot glue on the end. And then I'm going to do little streaks of hot glue just in small increments all the way across this. This hot glue gun is just not very good. So I did end up later on switching to my Gorilla Glue gun, but it worked, for the most part. And I figured out along the way that the easiest way to do this is to fold up just a little lip of it and hold that down and then glue that way. So fold it up, glue it, fold it back down. It just worked out easier that way for me. You can do the sides and the bottom of it as well if you wanted a more clean look, but the lace cut really nicely, so I didn't really have an issue. I'm not much of a sewer. I do have a sewing machine, but really haven't taken the time to learn. My mom is a beautiful sewer, and I really need to learn how, but if I can glue it, your girl's good with a glue gun, so that's what we're doing here. I'm just going back and touching up all the spots that I didn't get with glue, and that's it for one panel. Super easy. I just did the same thing with this with the other panel. Exact same thing. This one I got a little bit sloppier with, but you still really can't tell. They're not going to be totally perfect, but you cannot tell once you... I'm going to tie them back. So once you tie them back, you cannot tell. I just really thought this fabric would look really nice on my window in my kitchen. I do these curtains a lot. Like I said, I'm not a great sewer, so if you are not either, this is the perfect way to really revamp a space. And here they are. I couldn't really get a great picture of it. My kitchen's super small, and I'm trying to do a different thing with the end results, but I think they're gorgeous hung up in my kitchen. So that is everything I have for you in this video. Let me know what you thought of these, if you're maybe going to try some of them. I mean, those no-sew curtains, though, I think they're gorgeous. And they're so easy to do, so easy. I do them like for every holiday. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. My Instagram handle is in the description box. Make sure you follow me there. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love it if you join the party. And I will see you in the next one. God bless.